Hello everyone, I'm Ben Contreras, and welcome back to another episode of Ben Talks About. Now, with my look at the Death Note manga series done and over with, I think it's about time we take a look at a franchise that's a bit more, I guess you could say, family friendly than the previous franchise. And that is, of course, Game Freak's um, monster capturing franchise that is Pokemon. Now, I'm not what you would consider the biggest fan of the Pokemon franchise. As a matter of fact, out of all 7 generations that have currently come out, I've played a grand total of 3 of them. So, I'm a bit more of what you would call a sort of casual fan of the Pokemon series. The games that I have played I do really enjoy, and, you know, it's the type of thing that has been with my I guess you could say sort of childhood for the longest time. So, but despite the fact that I'm not the biggest fan of this franchise, even I was a little bit intrigued with a little movie trailer that came out around 2 weeks ago on YouTube, and that was of course the trailer for the recently announced live action adaptation of the Pokemon franchise, Pokemon Detective Pikachu. And this is, of course, based on the 3DS game, also called Detective Pikachu, of which I have not even played or seen any sort of footage of. So, whether or not it's ever accurate to the game itself is beyond my knowledge at this point. Now, as as far as you probably already know, lots of YouTubers have already made their own reactions to the trailers and given their sort of first impressions on the film. And a lot of them have, of course, been, rather mixed. They're sort of, like, unsure of how, the film's, like, style, the effects, and all that, the way the Pokemon look in this sort of realistic sort of setting. But as for me, when I first looked at the trailer, I automatically fell in love with this movie. And this is like one of the most recent films that I'd actually be really, really excited to see in the theater when it comes out. And this is most likely pretty much the only reason why is because of the fact that Ryan Reynolds is going to be the person who voices Pikachu in the movie. And, I just recently saw, of course, we all have seen him most recently as his role as Deadpool in the two new Deadpool movies, and the fact that that person who can be as charismatic as him is voicing this character is actually in a way sort of makes sense because of the sort of sarcastic nature that Pikachu has seems to have in the movie. So I think he is a pretty rather reasonable uh, person to do the voice for them. And I know it's a bit of a joke to say that the person that they gave that voices Pikachu isn't good just because he's not being voiced by Danny DeVito, but that was a joke back when the original game itself um, was announced. But anyway, um, lots of things that the major things that I feel like most people are sort of not so keen on are the effects in the film, and more specifically the CGI used for all the Pokemon seen in the trailer. And while there are times where a lot of the Pokemon do sort of look weird in this live action setting, mostly because certain characters that we see, like of course Pikachu and the the single frame that we see of Jigglypuff, you can tell that they've added like a large amount of fur to their character models when compared to the games when they're they all look sort of like plasticky, you could sort of say. Not that much in terms of like realistic kind of detail, but while I can understand why people would be not so keen on this idea, I personally don't really mind it all that much. They still look like how they should from the game, and Pikachu actually looks really adorable in the trailer. The sort of like expressions that they've actually managed to give him while Ryan Reynolds is talking, and that single moment where they actually give Pikachu his trademark sound effects. you know, I think he just looks adorable. And you know, other Pokemon that we see, more specifically the two images that we see of Charizard, you know, he looks, you know, friggin' awesome in the movie. And but yeah, the overall look of the Pokemon, I think, you know, are I think they're pretty good. And considering this is just a trailer and not like how they're probably gonna like change a few things with the effects when the film eventually gets released. So, you know, if you don't like the effects now, they're more than likely probably gonna change it. Now, one thing that sort of intrigued me about the film, like I know that supposedly there's been talk about the studio making this movie, the fact that they sort of bought the rights to make a movie based on Detective Pikachu, but I really think that this is sort of a good opportunity for the series because you know whenever you think of the idea of there being like a live action Pokemon movie, you're most likely thinking that you know they're probably going to adapt you know all of the you know traditional games, you know Red and Blue, Gold and Silver, you know all those type of series of games. But in a sense, I can sort of understand why they would adapt a spin-off game rather than one of the games in the main series because you know these games are long and you know they have a large amount of story and content in them that you know cramming that all into a single like at maximum like maybe 2 hour movie is practically impossible unless it's put like in multiple different parts. So the fact that they're doing you know like a spin-off game where the story is sort of you know self-contained and all that, I think that's a very good, that was a good opportunity that they decided to take. It allows them to sort of you know adapt something from the series that most people like while at the same time sort of inventing you know their own kind of ideas for the series. And whenever like there's like things that are live action adaptations of like stuff like video games or movies where like there's no real like concrete like overarching you could say like you know sort of story, you know with each series there comes like a new cast of like characters and plots and villains and all that is one of the things I've actually imagined for the longest time if they were to ever make like a live action movie of something like Yu-Gi-Oh. Like you know I would think like they should like you know not necessarily adapt any of the main series but rather sort of you know invent their own kind of story with their own group of characters. And I feel like doing stuff like that for films like this are you know good opportunities for people to get interested you know in you know a new like cast because if it's something that we already like where we already know what characters are in it and the sort of plots that should be in there, then we're more than likely going to be disappointed because you know it's not going to be you know frame for frame like you know the series that we love. So overall, the rest of the trailer was you know pretty good. They gave us a good idea on what the you know the plot is about. It's about the you know this kid who wanted to be a Pokemon trainer but wasn't able to for mysterious reasons. He eventually, you know, encounters Pikachu, they become friends and become, you know, semi-detectives who are trying to find the main character's father, and, you know, they of course get into different antics with certain characters and Pokemon, as you could see, as you could have no doubt seen if you've seen the trailer, the still frame of what looked like Pikachu almost getting eaten by Charizard. So yeah, there's probably a lot of you know interesting things that they will have for the movie when it eventually comes out. And like I said, I really enjoyed it just for the fact that you know Ryan Reynolds is going to be the character, the person voicing Pikachu. So yeah, I'm overall all for this movie being made, and I can't wait to eventually see it, whether it be in the theater itself, or on Movie Box on the TV. But those were my sort of first impressions of this film and the trailer in general. So I want to hear what you all think of this trailer. For those of you who have indeed seen it, make sure to tell me in the comments section down below what you thought of it and how you think that this film might turn out. So I hope you all enjoyed this little, you know, one-off kind of video I made for Ben Talks About. I hope to do many of these type of videos in the future, as I have like several ideas for stuff that I want to talk about. And until next time, I am Ben Contreras, and